and after the bridge is completed or close to complete. That's not the bottleneck. The bottleneck is the bridge itself. And when we have flooding, it sets them back considerably. Sometimes they have to undo things that they've done to make sure that the flood doesn't do damage. But as far as I know, the projection is still at the end of 2020. At the same time, you probably noticed that you have those speed cameras there on the Maryland side, and that is what helps, I guess, keep people following the speed limit in Maryland.
And we're adamantly opposed to those in West Virginia, correct?
We have been. There are some cases where a case could be made for them, but I think that we see abuses that occur, especially when small towns or other jurisdictions take advantage of that. So that is why we don't have them in West Virginia.
I think if we could pass that bill to limit those to construction zones and school areas, like the District of Columbia has gotten completely out of hand with speed cameras. The whole District of Columbia is a speed camera now. So you can't help but drive through the District of Columbia and rack up a $50 fine for something, right? Mm-hmm. But I think if they're limited to construction zones where there's highway safety, the people who work on the highways, and school zones, I think that would be tolerable to a lot of people.
Rob, I even got a ticket in D.C. once for not having a front license plate. The officer was not aware that West Virginia.
Did you fight it, John?
I did, and finally they realized that yes, in West Virginia we only have.
That's too funny.
That's been one of those issues that we've dealt with in the past, and the antique car dealers have been very opposed to requiring a front license plate. So we have a back one, and that works fine.
Yeah, that does. I don't think Pennsylvania has a front one either. I think Pennsylvania is just a rear plate.
I think Virginia may be in the process of going to that, but
Virginia's front and back right now too.
They are.
And Maryland is, but I'm reasonably certain Pennsylvania is just a back plate too.
Yeah, it seemed like I would hate to have I'd have to take my Steeler license plate off in front of my car.
Yeah, I mean, how would you know what team you're supporting?
I would not know. I'd be clueless.
Only when
I'd be lost.
Not when you're going. Yeah. Right. John, in regards to redistricting, in our final segment here, what are you looking forward to?
In 2020, we will have a national census, and in the national census, we will determine the population. I've been and on my webpage, I put a list of the population changes in Berkeley County going back to 1890, when we had the largest percentage increase in population. I guess when the mills came in, it went from 12,000 to 19,000. Today, according to the latest figures, the 2017, we have 114,920 people in Berkeley County. With the growth that's occurred this year, and if you drive around the county, you see that it's continuing to grow, but we will probably be in the next census up to 120,000. And that will mean that we will have additional legislators in the Eastern Panhandle. And as we talked earlier, the single delegate districts is a great way to increase that accountability statewide. But the biggest problem has been in the past gerrymandering. And I listened to Riley Moore yesterday on your program talk about how in Jefferson County there was some gerrymandering that was done that was not in the best interest. As long as it is a political process, as long as politicians who are partisan politicians are drawing those lines, there's always going to be gerrymandering, I would imagine, isn't there? Well, we can eliminate. I chaired the subcommittee dealing with that issue this year, and we had a considerable discussion about, do we have an independent commission? It came down to who appoints the independent commission. Is it 3 members of the majority party and 3 members of the minority party and maybe the governor? Every one of those positions is elected through a political process. So you're going to have politics in it regardless.
Well, how they do it in New Jersey is that both sides get to appoint 5 people, I think.
Okay.
5 Ds and 5 Rs. And then the commission is chaired by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Well, in West Virginia, that probably doesn't work so very well, does it? Because
who is the Chief Justice?
I'm
of the
not
Supreme
sure.
Court
That
right
changes every week, right? So I don't know.
But it's currently, I think, Justice Workman.
Workman, yes.
And
yes.
it'll be Justice Walker in January.
Right.
But that, in any case, it is
That's
going to
because
be.
the Republicans have cleverly stacked the court on their side with politicians who are going to make sure that happens.
I've heard that claim.
Yeah.
And
congratulations on pulling it off. I didn't think you'd do it.
I mean, I was hoping to go out to pasture and retire at the end of the legislative session, and suddenly I find I'm I'm presiding over the impeachment process. But it.
When does that start?
What a way to go out. Huh?
By the way, when does that begin again? Or is it done now?
I think when I don't see anything happening before the end of the year, and you're going to have a new legislature, so that issue is not going to be one that the new legislature is going to want to spend a lot of time on.
So it's effectively done.
I believe so.
Yeah. We've got a phone call I want to get to right now. Let's go to the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk line, where John is waiting to ask Delegate Overington a question. John, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Oh, hey, Rob. How you doing?
Great. How are you, sir?
All right. I got listening, and I really don't have I'm not liable for anything because I'm in Jefferson County, so to speak, but I got to agree with Dave. I mean, to remove somebody and not give a reason why to the voters that voted for him sounds like what the Democrats are trying to do to Trump. You don't know if there's any corruption involved. You won't name the process. And I just don't understand why you don't want to say what the problem was. I know Sam's a little bit, but it's hard to understand why you don't tell the voters somebody they voted for. They voted for the guy.
It's the Sampson Wright issue we discussed in the previous segment.
I would only add that we serve on the executive committee in a voluntary capacity. Our role as a member of the executive committee is there is one primary function that we have, and that is to appoint precinct workers in our magisterial district. That is the obligation that we have, so that the man and the woman in each magisterial district is to appoint a man and a woman for each precinct, or several.
To do what? Perform what task?
To help in the election process. You
mean to help elect the nominees of the party in those districts?
Well, both parties want to have input into who is going to be working the polls on election day.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
so it's not about the campaign; it's about who works on election day.
Yes.
Okay.
And the other function is to help the Republican Party. We are a voluntary organization. We are not paid. We can do as much as we want. As you saw, that I have done a lot, and we get our credibility by how much we contribute, how much we do, how much we help the party in its success.
But you're still not answering the question, though, John.
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
well,
we're off at 10, John.
Maybe get into your kick, your leg kick here, because it's 9:53.
It's something that we work as together as a team in that effort. And if somebody is attacking the party, is attacking the effort that others are doing, it's not a positive influence in helping the team effort of electing Republicans.
All right, so you're saying that effectively you're answering the question as to why he was removed. He was being disruptive and critical of the team effort.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that you heard yesterday how he made some comments that were pretty negative about the Republican Party. How do we attract people to the Republican Party? How do we grow our base when we have people, saying we're ineffective, inept? Those types of comments.
And committing fraud, I might add.
Committing fraud. So, I wanted to at least clarify that those premises were false.
John, does that answer your question?
Well, it answers the question, why. The problem is, unless you give an exact answer to Dave's question, I believe this fellow, Sampson Wright, was on the ballot. Was he on the ballot?
Yes, he was on the ballot for the Berkeley County Executive Committee.
You got a whole group of people, taxpayers, voted for him, apparently because he won. But you won't.
He was running unopposed.
Okay, well, the problem
still
is,
on the ballot,
unless
it's a
you
voluntary
give
position.
Direct answer to the question, people are going to start thinking there's corruption involved.
Well, I don't think we
by
want
the
to
way,
air
I don't understand why that it's
John, thanks for the question, by the way.
All right, thank you.
I don't understand. You keep saying that it's a volunteer position. It's not paid. I don't know what relevance that has. You still are making an effort to run for the office, you know that there's no compensation to it, so you put your name on the ballot. So whether you're being paid for it or not isn't relevant in my way of thinking.
Now, before you go anywhere with that, I have Ken also on the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center.
Could I just
talk line? Hold on, guys. I want to get to Ken's question.
Right?
Go ahead, Ken. If you could ask your question.
And it's kind of piggyback on that one. Everyone volunteers for a position, whether it's paid or not. But it's still, you're not going to be attracting Republicans or anyone else to your side of your party if you're not transparent. If what you say I'm trying to figure, I think I know what the deal is here. Because you're dancing around it, but also answering it. If that's the case, then just say it, take your lumps or not take your lumps, and just throw it out there. This is why we did it.
Let John respond to that. The lack of transparency is what appears to be the case here, John.
The answer to the question, do you want to air your dirty laundry in public? That was why it was an executive decision. It was made in executive session. Do we strengthen our party, want people more involved if we air dirty laundry in public? I think that's why we did not. I think we went into executive session because we did not want to air dirty laundry in public if we're trying to attract people to the party.
But if you air your dirty laundry, it gets clean. So now it looks even dirtier because you're keeping things behind closed doors.
That's a fair point.
This was an elected position. It's not like Dave said. It's not like an employee that works for the council. This was a person, whether he ran unopposed or not, he still got votes. So the voters who pay taxes, who we're supposed to be working for, I know it's volunteer, but nevertheless, he got the votes from the community, and they deserve the reason why the person they voted for is getting ousted. And if it looks bad on you, hey, take your lumps and drive on. If it doesn't, then you look fine. Then you see where I'm going with that.
Well, we are trying to, in a voluntary way, attract more people to the party to show what we stand for. That we are working together as a team. And I guess the consensus was that that would not be contributing to that positive team effort. And I think anybody that's listened to the radio yesterday would see that when you're calling people inept, when you're calling them maybe doing shady things and reporting, and those things are refuted, as we pointed out, especially with everything on the Secretary of State's webpage. You try not to be involved with people that are undermining your effort.
Ken, thanks for the call. We do appreciate it. It is coming up on our last break of the program, and back with the final minute with Delegate John Overington. It's
New car dealerships and 4 used car dealerships in 3 states. Parsons is the largest used car and fastest growing new car dealer in the tri-state area. Take Parsons Ford with huge savings on hundreds of new Fords, financing from 0%. Parsons' goal of financing for all. And Parsons' famous above market trade-in allowances that help make Parsons #1 for used cars too. See why so many won't buy anywhere but Parsons Ford in Martinsburg. We became #1 by making you #1 first. Parsons.
Take the bus, come ride with us.
EPTA invites you to take advantage of their rider programs, the $5 all-day pass, the monthly pass, and the Get a Job, Get a Ride program. Visit EPTAWV.com for further details and come ride with us. This message brought to you by EPTA, the Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority. For schedules and rider information, visit EPTAWV.com. EPTA serves Berkeley and Jefferson counties.
Take the bus, come ride with us.
big thanks to all of our guests on the program today, including Roy in our first segment, who brought us our wonderful illuminated light-up Christmas trees there. that have showed up nicely, I understand, on the TV 10 coverage today. Delegate John Overington is holding one now. Also, Delegate-elect John Hardy and Delegate soon to be retired from that position, John Overington, who sat in this whole hour and I'm sure only got to about 10% of what he wanted to. John, thank you.
Great to be here. Great to discuss things like redistricting and single delegate districts.
We're going to come back and talk about the importance of redistricting with you at another time.
This is Talk Radio WNR Martinsburg. The Glenn Beck Show is next. Talk to you again in 22 short hours.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by TheraWorks Relief.